Hello everyone, I am DVNS Ashrita registered as 21B01A0527. As a part of WT course activity 2, I have developed a web application named User Management Application, which provides the tools for creating, editing, and deleting the user accounts. Now let me show the backend codes for this. I hope you all can see my user.java class, and here are my all the files where I have used to develop this application. Coming to this user.java, this is a Java class named user that represents a user object with some properties. It has a constructor that takes the name, email, and country as parameters and sets the value of those properties. It also has a second constructor that takes an additional ID parameter which can be used to uniquely identify the user. And this class has four private fields: ID, name, email, and country. These fields are accessed through these getter and setter methods. Now let us look into the user.java. This code represents a data access object class named user.davo. It provides methods to interact with the database and perform CRUD operations on the users table. This class includes the following methods: getConnection method, which establishes the connection to the database using a JDBC driver, and the insertUser method inserts a new user into the users table. And the selectUser method selects a user from the users table by their ID. And the selectAllUsers method selects all the users from the user table. And at the same time, this deleteUser method deletes a user from the users table by their ID. And this updateUser method updates a user in the users table. And the class contains some SQL queries which perform operations on the users table. It also includes a helper method, which is print SQL exception to print detailed error messages in case an SQL exception is thrown. Now let us look into the user servlet.java. This is a Java servlet that handles the HTTP requests related to user management. The servlet handles different HTTP methods like get method and post method and switches between various actions based on the action parameter passed in the request URL. The servlet contains various methods that perform different operations, such as displaying a form for creating a new user and inserting a new user into the database and deleting a user from the database and updating an existing user and listing all the users in the database. This servlet uses the user.davo class to interact with the database and perform CRUD operations. It also uses the JSP files to render HTML responses for the user interface. Now let us see this error.jsp file. This is an error page written in JSP which will be displayed if an exception occurs in the application. The page will display the error message returned by the exception using the getMessage method, and it will be centered on the page. The isErrorPage attribute is set to true to indicate that this JSP page is an error page. And now let us see this userform.jsp. This is a JSP code for the user management application where we can find the front end written in JavaScript. The first few lines contain JSP directives which specify the language used as Java, and the character set is UTF-8, and the JSTL, which is Java Server Pages Standard Tag Library, code tag library being used. And we can also see the HTML code which is used to design our front page. And now let us look into the user list.jsp file. This is the file that defines the view for a web application that manages the users. The file includes the HTML code for rendering the UI and JSP tags for dynamically generating content based on the data written from the server. The page imports the JSTL code tag library, which provides tags for iterating over collections and conditionally rendering content. And this page also uses the Bootstrap to style the UI, including the navbar, table, and buttons. The table in the UI lists the users in the application and provides links for editing and deleting users. The user data is retrieved from the server and iterated over using a JSTL for each tag to dynamically generate rows in the table. And at last, we are left with this web.xml file. This file defines the configuration for the Java web application. It includes the following elements. The root element is web app and it defines the namespace for the file. And the display name element specifies the name of the web application that will be displayed to the users. And the welcome file list element specifies a list of files that the server will look for in the web application's root directory. And in this case, the file userlist.jsp is the default file that will be displayed when a user visits the application URL. And the error page element specifies a mapping between the exception type and an error page. If an exception of the specified type occurs, the user will be redirected to the specified error page. In this case, it is error.jsp. Now let us start our Tomcat server. As you can all see here, it is the command that, okay, again, let me show you how to run this Tomcat server in this Eclipse. Now let me copy this URL. As you can all see, we are redirected to the front page of this website. And now let me show you the existing users list where we can find 4 records already entered. Now let me add another user. So now we can all see the new record has been added to the table. Now let me also show you in this Microsoft MySQL Workbench. Now you can see here that this new record is also been added to this table. Now let me edit any one of the record in this table. I'm editing my email. Okay, let me save this. And now we can all see that my email gets updated. And let me show you how to delete a record from this table. Okay, let me delete this record. Yeah, we are left with only 4 records. Now let us see again in this MySQL. Yes, you can all see that it gets updated. So in this way, my user management application works. Thank you.